You are now listening to Bull Hook Golf, an unfiltered golf podcast taking you inside the ropes with unfiltered stories, insights, analysis, and exclusive interviews. Welcome back, everybody, to Bull Hook Golf, the podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cook, and today I've got a really special guest who is part of the team series. I like to refer to them as the superstar squad that I'm putting together that is going to help me with my golf game. But this gentleman, he really needs no introduction other than the fact that he is Andrew Hannon. He is the trainer for several golf professionals out there on the LPGA, PGA. But, I mean, the biggest one that most people are going to know is Windam Clark, who just won the U.S. Open as well as the Windam Championship this past season. And, man, I've been working with Ando for, over a year now. So I'm not quite sure the exact date we started working together, but I came to you, Ando, to really get ready for my wedding that was coming up, and really wanted to start to pursue playing a little bit more that I hadn't had in the past. And, you know, I've got some ambitions around playing a little bit. So certainly it has been night and day, and I just want to say thank you because it's had an incredible impact on my golf game, especially when I don't play for a little while, because with work and everything, with this podcast, and certainly there's times to where I don't pick up golf clubs for a couple of weeks, and then I go out and I play without even practicing ahead of time, and I can still swing a golf club and get into the right positions because of the work you and I do on a weekly basis. But without further ado, let's really get the audience to understand who you are. And first off, my first question for you, can you start by giving us a little bit about your journey of becoming, I saw it on the Instagram account, the Golf Fitness Pro. I absolutely love that. So give us an idea. You were a multi-sport athlete out of a small town in Kansas. Give us a little bit of background to you.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on, Matt, and well done on the podcast voice. I've never heard it before. It's really
I
good.
don't use it in the gym.
Yeah, usually we're pretty low demeanor in the gym, so that was really cool to hear. So, no, I appreciate the introduction and obviously the work we've done together, getting to know each other, and it's our relationship in the gym and outside the gym. So again, appreciate you having me on. So yeah, from Kansas originally, little small town. It's called Baldwin City. We've been out in Arizona for 10 years, but that's where I grew up. When I say small town, I'm talking about we didn't have a stoplight until I was in high school. That's how small it was. And I actually went to Baker University, which is a university in my town. It's like an NAIA college. That's where I played basketball and baseball. My dad was the baseball coach. I played under him. And, golf really I kind of hacked around with buddies when, growing up. I didn't really be able to afford it, like to play it like more leisurely or anything, or as like a school sport, because my dad actually told me, once we got baseball at the school, because I was going to play golf. And then the next year, this is my freshman year, I told him I was going to play golf. He's like, no, you're going to run track. I was like, okay, well, there goes that dream. But then next year we got baseball, so I put all three sports there. But kind of, once I graduated college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to be a fitness trainer. I wanted to be one of those guys that, train professional athletes and want to be like a strength coach for a big college. So I actually kind of took my time and was a grad assistant for a little bit for the women's basketball team at the same university. And I just got, it was a good experience, but then I was ready to like work. I was ready to make money. That's what I was kind of driven to do. So I actually applied at Lifetime Fitness in Lenexa, Kansas. That's where I moved after college to kind of pursue my career, and started at a corporate gym and just kind of, build my client base as a general trainer. And then, I know we'll talk about this, but then I kind of got into golf fitness like 2 years later, just based off interests, and knew it was kind of I thought it'd be a good market to get into. And, but like I said, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. We will dive into that. So really, for the three sports, just to get this correct, was track, baseball, and basketball. Is that right?
Well, actually, football, baseball, basketball was probably the main ones.
Okay.
I ran track for 1 year, but once, baseball came around at our school, that's where, I kind of made my focus in the spring on that. But basketball and baseball were the main two. And then football, I actually got more offers than anything out of high school. And I just, at that time I'm skinny now, kind of lean, but I was skinnier back then. So I knew I'd get lit up if I tried to pursue like a college football career. So I was able to, once I committed to Baker, and my dad wanted me to play my sophomore year. So I just decided to just kind of have something to do, and, during the spring, have a sport to kind of commit to. And I actually stayed next year of college to kind of just play baseball my 5th year. So it was a lot of fun. And baseball is probably my first passion. My dad was a pro baseball player for the Cubs organization. And then that's where he went into coaching the minor leagues for a little bit, and then ended up he went to Baker as well. So that's where he kind of ended up for 15 years. And he's still there as like a working fundraiser now.
All right. Well, I was a baseball guy growing up until I threw out my shoulder, and then really disappointed my dad when I told him, Dad, I'm not playing baseball anymore. I'm just going to focus on golf. He was devastated, but I was a shortstop. What position did you play?
So I played shortstop as well in high school, but then I kind of transitioned to outfield once I started, getting into my senior year in college. I had a pretty decent arm. I was fast back then, so that's where I kind of hit out.
You're still fast, man. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if people have seen this yet, but they're going to have to check out your Instagram, because you and Windam Clark went at it in some, let's put it this way, in some, how would you phrase it? Some exercises, or not even exercises. It was kind of like performance jumping and throwing. You were kind of measuring out things. You guys were like, not only, it wasn't a shot put, but you guys got to check it out online, because I was super impressed with your athleticism. Everybody knows that Windam is a great athlete as well, but man, you were dominating out there.
Nah, dude, I wouldn't say dominate. I still try to think I have it, but we'll talk about this too. Like with the program I have him on, kind of going into this offseason, we'll have a lot of gym work and a lot of gym time to commit to this year, based on obviously the success that he had. So he has a good idea of his schedule. But I really wanted to highlight, that, and if you saw it on Instagram, that just things that we'll probably be working on, especially with, just him being an athlete, and he just wants to stick to that. So just really, getting some measurements, some baselines. So we kind of recorded some like broad jumps, some med ball throws. And for me to kind of do it with them, kind of gives them a little competition feel, where in a sense, it kind of pushes a little bit more, kind of gets that little inner drive for him to beat me on those things. So that way we kind of measure, down the line on how the progress is going. But also for me, just, I want to feel like I still got it too. And I just wanted to mix things up a little bit as well.
Oh, you definitely still got it. It was impressive as shit to see you.
I was pretty sore the next day, so I don't
know. I mean, at least, and with how competitive Windam is, I bet, I'm sure I'm sure that's going to push him even harder, even further. So I love the aspect of building in that competitiveness, even between the two of you, which is really cool. But talk to us a little bit about how you got into golf fitness specifically.
Yeah, so kind of going back to Lifetime Fitness in big corporate gyms, I was just kind of searching for my niche. Again, I tried the, performance aspect of it, but it's like there wasn't really any high level athletes around in Lenexa, Kansas. So then I tried like the youth route. I worked with some high school kids, and then at that time, it's just like, just not into it. So one of my buddies, Matt Quant, he's a really good amateur golfer in Nebraska now, but back then he was, really good as well. And he kind of introduced me to the TPI and really showed me kind of what they were doing. He's like, dude, you should get into this. So I researched a little bit more, and actually through the certification that I had through NASM, they actually had like a golf fitness certification. So I went through that first. Again, I did that like over the weekend, just like any other cert. And this really started to apply the concept that I learned through obviously my education, the sports that I played, and tried to apply that to the golf fitness training as well, on top of what the cert provided. And that was like how to do a basic screen for golfers, how to, add some mobility into their training. And I just started working with, Lifetime Fitness and Lenexas. It's kind of like a Scottsdale. So a lot of high-end people that, love to play golf, pay for it, just want their body better to play more. So I had a lot of success with that at Lifetime. So then at that point, I was tired of being a number. It's a big corporate gym. So I switched to a smaller company where I was affiliated with a lot more country clubs. So this is where I would, in the Kansas City area, I would drive to country clubs, people's houses. I was probably going to 2 or 3 country clubs a day, then maybe 2 or 3 homes. Again,
so doing more of like a concierge type of service.
Yeah. And I was contracted with this company, and pretty much they did all like the selling, all the busy work. And it's like, hey, here's your client, here's their address, meet them at their house. So it was a good experience because it got me to learn just kind of manage that type of schedule, right? Instead of being in the gym where clients are in front of you, you have to kind of manage the schedule that way. This is where, okay, I got to drive to this house and then have time for lunch. And then, okay, I get to the country club, which is 20 minutes down the road. So that was a real cool experience. But at that time, I was in that company for about 2 years. I got tired of driving around, getting burned out from that. And then fast forward to Arizona, my wife, girlfriend, then we're looking for a move and somewhere warm, tired of the Kansas
weather. Were you
weather.
guys still in Kansas at that time?
Yeah, so, we're still in Kansas. Yep. And we were just ready for a move. We were ready to kind of take the next step in our life. And we were looking for more of a beach setting, but that didn't really work out. So I saw TPI put up a job board with Premier Fitness Systems and say they were hiring golf fitness trainers. And I actually emailed Greg. This is almost 10 years ago. And, he called me about 2 days later. We had like a 3 to 4 month interview process. They flew me out to kind of talk a little bit more. And then, what year is it? 2013, right around Thanksgiving, I made the commitment to drive out there and kind of start that career. And I drove out myself. It was an 18-hour drive, and my wife was still trying to find a job at the time. And I stayed a month, flew back at Christmas, and then drove back with her. So I made 2 drives to Arizona in 2 months, which I will never do again. So it's a lot of flying now, but that's kind of how I ended up in Arizona, is just kind of out of the whim. We had no family, no friends out here, and now we have a bunch of friends and we have a family ourselves. So
love that for you.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for moving out to Arizona.
Yeah.
You've been a big key to my fitness and what I've been able to do. Now, a quick word from our sponsor. Swannies is here with a fresh take. Performance-based materials are a given these days. But if you're looking for the stretchiest and most lightweight pieces that deliver a look that says, I'm here for a good time, take a walk on the Swannies side. With fabric sourced from recycled plastics and designs sourced from our very own weekend warriors, Swannies is looking out for both our planet and those that need a little style to boost their drive another 15 yards. Premium looks from top to bottom at swannies.co. But now let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Well, hang on a second. Before we do, I do want to know, because somebody listening, they're like, wow, I mean, that's just a fantastic, career of going from Lifetime Fitness to a concierge service and now moving out to Arizona. So everything sounds awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
What challenges did you face along the way?
Ooh, man, that's a good one. I think probably going from obviously corporate gym to a business that kind of takes care of setting up clients for you, right? Where at the corporate gym, you kind of, you're new, you're just excited, you just try to look like fit. And usually people come up to you, but you still have to kind of learn, the selling process. They want you to sell supplements, heart rate monitors, they're kind of keeping track of your goals financially. So it's just like, you always kind of have to hit a goal in a corporate gym. And then going to the small business where it's just like, oh, I just get to drive around. I don't have to do any selling. This is great. And then you kind of miss that. And then you go to a foreign place that with nobody that no client base. So it's like Greg and Brandon took a big swing on me to really come out here and see what I got. So it was a challenge at first. I had to save up some money, and, we got an apartment. I was there by myself without, my girlfriend at the time, who was a lot of support. But Greg and Brandon were really good. They really pushed me to the point of like, just trying to get yourself out there. And, I kind of worked around the area, see what flyers I could pass out. I kind of walking around just talking to people. And at that time too, I really started to commit to more of my social media game. I probably moved out here with maybe like 300 followers, right? I tried to try to make a commitment to make like some sort of post or some sort of content every day from, a drill every day. Or like once I started kind of establishing a base, I taught a call fitness class. So I tried to post a class every day, and that continually started to build over the year. And, it's started getting more shares, people started more following when Instagram was a little bit more organic. TPI would share some stuff, so get more followers. So then it's just like, okay, now I'm starting to get a little momentum with, people knowing who I am, and then they want to work with me. They'll message me about programs and then start building online programs. So, the challenge at first was just, it's hard for me to go out there and market, pretty quiet dude, kind of introvert in that way. But once it started getting more...
You're kidding me.
We talked about that before, so you get it. I want to start getting clients, get more confidence and getting referrals from those people, especially the guys and females at kind of country clubs, private clubs. It kind of put me in a space where it's like, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident in this. And, obviously they're sending me people, so they trust me. So once that started to hit, it's kind of, really pushed and, got through that sort of challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, people, if you have, I'm sure a lot of people from this interview are going to go to your Instagram page and see all that content that's there that you've built up. And that's actually how I found you as well. You popped up in my Instagram feed, and all of a sudden I'm like, hang on a second, I need a golf specific fitness trainer. If I'm going to get in shape, why not make it golf specific? And certainly it was a home run for me as far as reaching out to you, and you fit me into your busy schedule, which was awesome, because you were working with so many people. But at the same time, folks, he went from 300 followers to now, what is it? You're up close to 40,000 or something, aren't you?
Close.
Maybe even higher.
Yeah, about 35.
Okay.
At that 35 range for a while, which is, I think, even a good spot. I don't see how a lot of people do it with like 100 plus. Like I get a lot of messages now, so I couldn't imagine being, even it's like some good looking chick that gets DMs probably every day with creepers all over them. So I can only handle what I get right now.
I hear you on that 100%. We've only got about, I think we're at like 15,000. So we're still growing our way through, but we get a bunch of messages asking us about, stuff that we've talked about on the show and questions that they want us to bring up and so forth. So I can only imagine getting higher and higher in terms of the number of followers. Certainly there's a lot of messages that will come through. You might have to start ignoring some at some point, but we'll switch gears here. I want to talk to you about specifically golf fitness and concepts around golf fitness. So can you break down really your key principles of golf fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about this a lot. I like there's a question in the notes as well that you brought up, like, what's the difference between like golf fitness and like general fitness, right?
Yeah.
I'm at that point now where it's just like, there's really not much of a difference, lingo kind of terms I can use. Like I know the golf swing where it's just like, I've learned a lot from other coaches and players. It's just like, I kind of know what to look for. So in basic sense, it's like having some sort of competence of like, how rotation works, like how the pelvis works, the rib cage, and being able to apply that to some sort of workout program is just like really all golf fitness is, right? We can go talk, specialty about the TPI screen, or, I was really into that when I first started out, but work with so many people in different shapes and sizes, ages. It's just like, I kind of know what to see or what I'm looking for just based on the communication that they give me and the information that's in front of me, right? So starting out with the basic process of like, what are their goals? What do you, especially with their game, like physically, what's limiting you? And then gathering that information, seeing how they move, and then how their fitness level is, because it's just like, it's still like we're in a gym, like we're here to get in shape. Like a lot of the drills that I post on Instagram, like they're cool, but at the same time, like that's just a piece of the puzzle. Like I'm still trying to get you at a condition level where it's like, okay, you want to play more. Okay, you have this sort of like chronic pain all the time. Okay, so let's see what we could do to fit this drill in on top of your performance. So it's just like, it's really depends on the person, right? That's pretty much a generic answer, but at the same time, a basic understanding of rotation, especially with the pelvis, rib cage, knowing how to apply it and kind of talk the swing in a way where it makes sense to them and how it's going to help their gaming. So that's really the key.
Man, I get asked that a lot by other golfers because I talk about it all the time. I'm like, hey guys, you really want to improve your golf game? go find a golf specific fitness trainer because it is night and day, and they go, well, what's the difference? And often my response is rotation, because I'm like, you work on a lot of rotational exercises and flexibility. Flexibility is the other one that I mentioned. So I'm not far off when I'm giving people this information, which is great.
Yeah.
Because I've just been fucking winging it for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, I mean, because I'm obviously working with you and everything, I noticed that that's a lot of the difference, because I've worked out with personal trainers in the past, but never golf specific. And that's been night and day for me. And the flexibility side is big as well, because normally, like, there's flexibility that happens within your workouts with me, but also, like, at the end, we'll just do some specific flexibility a lot of times, which is awesome because, again, sitting in a chair almost every single day for hours on end, you and I have talked about this part of it. It is very challenging to all of a sudden be able to swing a golf club properly and have that flexibility and everything, or even stay in shape. But with us working out twice a week, pretty much every week for over a year, it's been night and day different as far as, I mean, I used to be so stiff when it came to picking up a golf club. Even if I was playing a lot, I always felt very stiff around that. But how do flexibility, dynamic movement, and also traditional strength really play into a golfer's fitness regimen?
Yeah, I mean, it all matters, man. And again, it's going to depend on the person, but you know, with the performance side of things, let's talk about like traditional strength, like first, like that's going to be the big bang and the big buck type of exercises that really matter, that really a lot of people are going to get out of. It's going to create a lot of adaptation, and especially if someone comes in that, you know, someone like you, it is a pretty high level golfer, or likes to play. Let's say they play, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and then their fitness levels is pretty good, and they might get in the gym a couple times a week. So it's just like they might not need much more rotation. So it's just like work on some strength, which takes basic exercises like what we do, like, you know, goblet squats and deadlifts and certain presses, because that's going to apply to increasing strength and muscle and tissue, where that might apply to their game, where it's just like they see results that way, where they feel strong in the course, they still feel more stable through impact, and they're hitting the ball further. That could be just through traditional exercises, right? Or you might have someone who's really stiff, with a lot of 6-year-olds I work with, or 60 plus, even 50-year-olds that need a little bit more movement, where it's just like you said, they worked all their lives, they do a lot of travel, they sit at a desk. So it's just like they can't move their spine to save their life. So taking some time to understand, okay, why the importance of being able to segment their spine, doing cat-cows, and then be able to load it, and then going through a basic warm-up where they're tired after the warm-up. So it's just like that kind of creates buy-in. Like, hey, this is, you know, kind of a first step. So if we're getting tired during the warm-up, like, look, we're going to be like 2 months from now, right? Some basic things from, you know, knee pulls to toe touches to even being on the floor and getting up, like all that matters for those guys and girls as well. And then flexibility wise, it's like you might get a high level athlete that's, you know, super immobile. Like we've seen a lot of, you know, high level NFL guys in there, and they're move terrible in the gym. And you see them on the field, you're like, how the hell do you move? How do you move so fast on the field or anywhere? So they might need to slow it down, where it's just like they need to centrate their joint away and get in a position where they feel the right things, where they're not moving 100 miles an hour, just to kind of help with injury prevention and, you know, feeling different tissue that they don't feel on the field or even on the course with people that have like a high level swing speed, but, you know, it's tough for them to even touch their toes. So focusing on get dynamic movements, flexibility, kind of help with that sort of range of motion. So then it's just like their chance of getting hurt or injured is going to go down, so they can move a little bit better.
I just love the fact that you said goblet squat. That's fantastic language. I absolutely love it. I have no idea what that is, but I am sold on the goblet squat. When I'm in next week, we're going to work on the goblet squat.
We've done goblet squats 1,000 times. You know what a goblet squat is.
Okay.
Just when the dumbbells, let's say it's with weights in front of you, I had you sit down in the box and stand up. That's all.
Yeah, we have done that quite a bit. Okay, all right, fair play. I love the goblet squat.
You love
actually, it. I think I actually hate it, but it's a great term, just an absolutely great term. And you've already talked a little bit about working with guys that, you know, are 50, 60 years old. And this is the other thing that I tell people is the misconception around golf specific fitness training is that, oh, I have to be playing or I have to be a serious golfer in order to benefit from it.
Right.
And I think that's completely false. So take me through a little bit of, when you do work with 50, 60-year-olds, or even just people that are like the weekend warrior, as to, because you customize it for each person, as you've mentioned, but how beneficial is that for them to work with you kind of ongoing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think so. A lot of the 60 plus years I work with, a lot of them are seasonal, especially that live out in Scottsdale, right? Again, they have other homes and other places that I hear during the summer. So it's like, and then when they are seeing me, it's maybe like twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week. And a lot of them I've worked for a long time. And, the biggest success with them is just being able to, play as they play more, they're not as stiff and they're able to, increase their amount of time they play. And then I'm part of their schedule now. So that gets them excited to, increase some sort of skill in that way physically. Again, it could be increase the range of motion, could be flexibility, it could be learning how to throw a med ball a little bit harder to help with their speed. So, but a lot of them are different. So there's some that I come and I see at 5 a.m. and they're ready to go and they can do everything at 56 years old. Others come in and the first thing we do is I might stretch them on the table because that's what they enjoy. I kind of know their need. In the last half hour, you just go through, 3 or 5 movements that they are accustomed to and they enjoy, and I know they get benefit out of, and then they're on their way. And then as long as they kind of keep coming, they see some sort of progress, and I know that they're playing and I'm not messing them up on their member guests or the days they play or weeks they play 5 days in a row. Like, that's a win for me. So
that's their major championship too. Those member guests, those guys go hard at a place like Whisper Rock behind me, or at a place like Desert Mountain. I mean, those guys, or Silverleaf, or there's so many freaking great private country clubs in northern Scottsdale that you probably have as clientele, but that's their major. Now I'm going to switch gears for a bit because I want to talk to you about, obviously everybody listening to this podcast probably is most interested in hearing about Windam Clark and the work that you do and everything, because since working with you, he had a breakthrough year to where he not only won on the PGA Tour, but then he got his first major in addition to that, which I have to say is huge kudos to you because of the work that you guys are putting in together. His swing looks so fundamentally sound, and the movements and everything. And the guy absolutely murders the ball. So the work that he's doing in the gym is just really big kudos to you. But what's your philosophy from working with a regular Joe or a weekend warrior or the 60 plus guy who's a country club guy to Windam Clark, a PGA Tour player?
Yeah, a lot of it's different. So quick story on just how I started working with him. Just lucky enough to just build connections where it's like when he was living out in Vegas, he was working with Brian Chandler, who has a facility out there. He's probably one of the best in Vegas. So, when Windam was looking to move out here, Brian actually, he was the one that texted me saying that Windam was looking for someone that he would recommend me. So we kind of put us on a group text. It was like, okay, that's a huge opportunity. And then again, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, right? So after talking with Windam a little bit, he kind of started out another gym out here, kind of got injured. So he kind of looked for somewhere else. So that's when he kind of got in contact with me, and we kind of sat down and kind of talked about his goals and what was work with him in Vegas and what he kind of looked for. And he was talking about it then, right? He's wanted to be number one in the world. He talked about like his goals and his kind of path to get there and the ups and downs that it takes and the grind. Like, he's just a grinder. But even when he was at that level, which he came at a pretty, high level coming out of Oregon, Oklahoma State before that. So he had a lot of hype coming out of it. But now he's starting to kind of really put together the last 2 or 3 years. It's because he takes care of his body. He takes care of, making sure he has the right people around him with his caddy, his manager, all that stuff. So, he's his body and him as a person, he's a business-minded type of guy. But he's an athlete at heart. He's he makes my life a lot pretty easy, where it's like he could do everything. But at the same time, it's my job not to mess him up. So it's a lot of this with guys like that. It's just all about communication, right? Guys that he travels, goes 2 weeks on the road, comes back for a week. I might not see him for another 5 weeks during the season, right? Especially if he's winning, making cuts. So it's just like he's he's at that point where it's like he knows his body so well. Like he might text me like that Saturday, like, "Hey, I'm looking again next week. You know what times you got?" And I was like, "Dude, like you're like top 10 right now. Like, why are you texting me?" Like, so just in that's already in his mind. This just tells you what an athlete he is and a professional, where it's like he's already thinking about how he can kind of get better each day. So it's just I was just really happy for him this year. Like I knew it was going to happen, right? Just based on his trend, how he talked, how he works in the gym, doesn't get distracted by much. So it's just it was all coming.
I love the fact that, and this is a shout out to Windam, because the Tuesday after the US Open, his first major championship, he's back in the gym working out.
Sure.
And that to me is that is somebody who's not satisfied with just a major. That's somebody who's striving to become number one. That is just one of many majors or tournament wins that are going to lead to him becoming the number one golfer in the world. And he's got the athleticism and the ability to do exactly that. So you talked a little bit about his program and how he makes it easy, because a lot of it is just don't screw him up and so forth. But how do you push him? I mean, there's the Instagram videos, obviously, but how do you, is it a lot of self-motivation from him? Are you pushing him in addition to that? Give us a little bit of insight around that.
Yeah. So it's again with the communication we have, because when he's in town, like he's training every day, right? So that kind of puts me in the mindset of knowing how to structure his program correctly, and even knowing like he does really good jobs. Like, hey, I'm off for 3 weeks so we can get after it a little bit, and then or it might be he's in for a week. I go back to Colorado Wednesday, and then I fly out Sunday. So it's just like this. I trust you. This is like just kind of know my schedule there. So that's where I plan it ordinarily based on, okay, he's on a plane this time. He's going to come back. Time change here. So it's just like I know kind of get after it that first part of the week, and then at the end of the week, kind of tone it down a little bit with certain strategies that I might use. But if he's off like 2 weeks, which he has been the last couple, and going into the off season, he's going to have a lot of time off. So it gives me the opportunity to really know, okay, where can I put more high intense, kind of high volume type of work, where to put that. And then the stuff you saw on Instagram with the jumping, the power work, knowing that might get him maybe like 0.5% better because he's already at that level. But then how do I push him a little bit towards that margin without, again, risking any sort of like injury, not losing rotation, his mobility that he already has, which is great. And then it's just like his goals of he just still wants to get stronger, right? And then even body composition wise, after a lot of celebrating, a little bit of time off, so it's like he thinks about that too, just how his body performs, making sure we kind of push the fitness level a little bit with some conditioning, just to be in shape. And so it's just structuring it that way where if we have the time off, and then if I need to push him a little bit, I might kind of jump in the workout with them. I think I'm going to take that approach. Like today, like we did some assault bike intervals, and I was doing it with them. And then we went right into like some power work and some sort of box jump variations. And we went into like, bicep curls just as like a rest period. And then we kind of kept repeating that. So me kind of being there, knowing like, okay, I'm going to push you here, because he probably doesn't get that much on the road or with other people, but I know how to do it intelligent, right? Where I know I'm not going to mess anything up. It's programmed in a way where it's low risk, especially with like an assault bike. Like it's pretty low risk. I mean, you're on it today, so you get it, but it's hard. So it's just like he knows, I know when to kind of push that level, and that something like that, something where we could do that.
Impressive. I mean, you show me all the workouts, and I was even thinking this the other day. I'm like, you're jacked, so I get it, but you're also having to do the workouts a little bit. And then he comes in right after me today, and you're back at it, and you're going through the full workout. I mean, Ando, I don't think you can get any more jacked than you, man. You're jacked, dude. Might not be able to see you right now, folks, but you should see this guy in the goddamn gym. He's an absolute animal in there. When you said earlier on that you were skinny, right. I was a $135 coming out of high school into college, so I was skinny. I can't imagine you being a skinny dude, because you're freaking jacked, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Big ups to my dad for your genetics, and then
genetics are key.
Genetics are key. But yeah, I mean, same with you. I mean, I didn't really get into like truly weightlifting until I was like a sophomore in high school, maybe, just because our
Okay.
high school program started to develop. My dad was really big, especially like developmental stage of like grade school, junior high. Like he was just real big. Like, let's just be an athlete, just play sports. Don't worry about the weight room yet. I don't care what your friends are doing, what your coaches say. Like, we're not going to take that approach yet, right? So even in like a small town, like coaches didn't really, not that they didn't know what they're doing, but it's just like there's just not much education there yet until, sophomore year. It's like, okay, now it's the time you're playing football, you're getting serious about it. You put on a little bit of weight. And then going into college, I started getting a little more passion for it, learning programming, like the probably best shape of my life, like going into my senior year of basketball in college. Me and my buddy, same buddy, Matt, we actually lived together at his parents' house. We worked at the golf course in the morning. We were getting up at 5:30, do groundskeeper stuff. Then we would go to the gym that afternoon and just lift. And then on the off days, we play basketball. So it's just like, that was where I probably got up to maybe, 180, 180-ish. And, the program was still pretty poor where our leg day was basketball. There's a lot of upper bodies during the week. We're 22, 23 years old. So, a lot of pool time and being outside, we're all like tan and jacked. So it was a lot of fun. But, as I get older, it's just more like if I can fit something in, especially being a dad now, like that's a win. 30 minutes, or if I can hop in with the client to get some stuff in, like I'm good. I can't be pushing basketball courts anymore, or being in the gym for 2 hours like I was in my early 20s. So it's more of what can I get in? Is I can sacrifice time with my family or work? No. Okay, great. And then can we push a little bit on certain days?
I just love the fact that you're working out with Wyndham, pushing him, because I think that's only going to take him to another level. That's for sure. Of trying to keep up with you. So that is key. I do want to ask too, because beyond Wyndham, you also have received rewards by like Golf Digest and so forth as one of the top golf specific trainers. How'd that all come about, and kind of is that one of the more rewarding things that has come as far as accolades within what you're doing? Because that certainly gives like that peer kind of, hey, you're one of the top fitness instructors in golf, period. And that's a pretty cool thing to have under your belt.
Yeah, it is, man. That's definitely been something I've, really think it's at the top for sure. How it came about, it's a good question. I don't think I would have got that sort of recognition if my social media was at where it was. It was kind of right at the peak of where I was kind of trending in the right direction. I posted a lot of stuff compared to other trainers that got the reward as well. But, I think, a lot of people were seeing what I was doing, had some connection with TPI, where it's just like they shared a lot of my stuff. I've had conversations with their team before. And then obviously with some of the pros we work with in the gym during that time, like the Stromans and Ches. And so a lot of people kind of knew who we were. And then at that time, me and Greg got that award, which was pretty cool. It's a cool accolade to have. And I was lucky enough to get it a second time. I think they do it like every 2 or 3 years. So that's definitely at the top. I'd probably say though, especially in the golf fitness sense, like I work with some LPGA players as well. So when Sophia Popov got her first win, like this quick story on that, like that was kind of that COVID year, right? It was really weird, and even to the point I had a good enough relationship with my clients and I was able to support my family. So it's just like, I was able to go to their houses. They were cool enough where it's just like, they had gym in their houses, and luckily enough, a lot of them lived next to each other. So it's like I was back in Kansas kind of going through that same, like I just kind of brought myself back to that space. Like I was driving to people's homes again, right? So I had that experience to do that. So it was like no sweat for me. It was weird because 2020 was like the best year financially for me, which is the craziest thing.
Most trainers I don't think would say that.
Yeah. And just keeping the gym open afterwards, and we like nothing happened. So, but during that time, Sophia was in town, and she'd come to my backyard in like a little concrete lot 3 days a week. And I took equipment from the gym. We go at it, her and her fiance at the time. And she was doing cactus events. She actually won like 2 in a row. And then she got second in a Symmetry event. And then she was like the first alternate to the major she won at the, God dang, I forgot which major she won, but it's like the first alternate to get into that event and ends up winning that major. So it's just like, that was just a huge, just based on the work she put in and me kind of being a part of that she's coming to my house, and it was just a really cool experience. We talk about that all the time. So that's probably at the top. Well, because she was at a place where she almost quit golf if, things weren't working out, and then she wins that. And now she's one of the top, obviously she had, just had a baby. So she's kind of taking that time off now, but she was at the top right around that year. So that was pretty cool to be a part of.
Absolutely. I'm trying to look to see which tournament it was that she won. I was on
So
the
it's
LPGA
AIG
website.
or the, dang,
Let's see. We've got her professional career.
yeah.
So
She's going to kill me if I don't know.
That's why I want to look it up.
Yeah.
She qualified for that. Where is her wins? Oh yeah, you were correct. You just needed to go with your gut. The AIG Women's Open.
That was a crazy time to meet. Man,
She won it by two. She won it by 2 strokes over a name that there's no chance I'm trying
I
to
remember who it is, but I'm not going to pronounce it. Yep.
It's like Thidapa, so do. That's as good as I can do right there, folks. That's why I am not a broadcaster.
That's where we're sitting here talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as we shift gears, and as certainly, I mean, that's a big accolade alone to work with Sophia Popov and help her achieve greatness there. Windam Clark achieved greatness there. Golf Digest top trainer in America. That obviously is great stuff as well. But let's talk. Let's gear it down a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
Let's turn it just a little bit down to a little bit more of a regular guy. So this is the moment of truth for you here, to where you get to talk a little bit of shit about me, because what have you seen with my game? Because I know, and before you answer that question, I will just say that it has been night and day. My swing speed, it was creeping downwards before starting to work with you. I think because I've got a golf simulator in my building to where I go down there, I get my swing speed and everything, hit shots. It's a full swing simulator. So anybody who doesn't know, that's what TGL is going to use for the indoor golf league. That's what Tiger has, a bunch of the guys. So my swing speed was getting down around 113. So where I've been grinding on the podcast, been grinding with the podcast network and agency that I run. But that being said, here's your chance. What do I have to work on, Ando?
Dude, I mean, like I said, it's been a year, it's been great. The progress has been there. It's trending definitely the right direction. I think our approach, like you said, that first 6 months was just obviously kind of prepping for the wedding. That gives you a little motivation there. Making sure a lot of the drills and workouts are still centered around golf. So again, that's where I throw in some rotational stuff, but still pushing the fitness level a little bit. And there's always kind of having the conversations about, how diet's going and how did you play this weekend? How'd you feel? You always kind of gave me feedback on, my hips feel this way, which was great, or I felt great after this round. I didn't feel stiff. So it's like, those are the wins I want to hear. And now to the point, kind of getting past that, kind of the honeymoon phase, I like to say. Now we're kind of in that grind of.
Yeah, I got fed during the honeymoon phase. I'll be the I ate a lot of food.
Just enjoy yourself.
I was.
Yeah. So now it's just like finding strategies where it complements obviously as much as you grind with work, sitting down a lot. So I'm making sure like the range of motion is there, right? And also on certain days, can we push that fitness level where it's just like we're still seeing some composition change that you want? And now with you pushing towards kind of making it come back. I don't know if you want me to talk about that or not. If you talked about that already.
No, I haven't.
I don't want to spoil it.
haven't announced it as of yet, but folks, there is a reason why this team series is happening. We'll leave that out of here for now, but just know there will be some news and announcements coming up in the months to come. But that is one of the reasons why we're doing this team series. A little bit of a comeback in terms of playing a bit and so forth. But I always think my flexibility is one of the things that I lack. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, that's still something we're working on, especially like in a hinge position. So hinge as in like we're trying to touch your toes, but it's dramatically changed just from like exercise that we're able to use, right? Where in the past when we first started, like even with like a hinge or trying to touch your toes, like the range is getting there, even if it's like a small degree at a time. And now we're adding weight to it. We're adding a little bit of like the elevation with feet where you feel the sensation more. Even with like a basic lunge, like that first couple times I remember it's like the position just wasn't there. So we really had to use a lot of constraints, such as like a heel elevation or making sure we're holding something to keep you upright. Now today, like you said, you're holding a 20-pound ball and rotating over that heel wedge like it was nothing. And the range of motion is a lot better. So those are key just with, being able to kind of create some adaptation and kind of get better ranges so we can start adding some more exercises where it's just like, okay, now we can add a little more weight here without affecting your back, or the range of motion is better. So let's get you in this position so you feel this muscle more, right? So this is going to help your golf swing or swing speed here because you're in a better position, right? So that's where I've seen a lot of progress with just, movement quality with the exercises, and just never, questioning me on anything where it's just like, you just kind of grind it out. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes like on certain days where I know like you got a lot of work in, maybe a little bit tired, so that's where we might leave that extra 10 minutes to work on flexibility more because it's a little bit less.
I think the only time that I have ever stopped to work out was when I was doing a 24-hour fast for the very first time, and I didn't tell you, and all of a sudden I felt like I was going to die, and you look at me and you're like, are you okay?
Yeah, I was like, each day, like, no, I'm doing a 24-hour fast. Like, bro, you got to tell me.
I run into the bathroom. I come out. You've got a Gatorade and a coconut water, and you go pick one and chug it now. I'm like, okay.
That's the number one. Also, just you badly injured. I remember you had a couple softball injuries. So it's like
the hamstrings. Yeah. God. Yeah, we worked around those.
So it's like that could have set you back quite a ways. But it's like you still came in. Like it's just like I do what we could do and what we couldn't do to give you some stuff to do when you got home. And it's just like that next week, I think it's just like we just kept progressing. That's what it's about. Instead of like, I'm gonna take this couple weeks off and I'll see you a couple weeks. Like, no, I know that's not your mindset. And knowing like I knew you'd be in, so it's like I knew what to do and you were gonna do it. So kudos to you, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. I'll take all the compliments you got. As we're talking about it though, I do think back to the very first session that I came in and my balance was horrible. And now my balance has gotten a lot better. I mean, it's night and day different. I mean, some of the exercises that we do on one leg and everything, there was no chance in the beginning that I would ever have the capability of being able to do that. So while it's interesting because like in my mind, I don't really think a whole lot because around like my progress, like I've never sat there and like tracked it and so forth. But now that I haven't even really reflected on a lot of the stuff that we do, but you're right. I just come in and I let you just take me through whatever it is we need to do. I don't say otherwise, and whatever weight you throw in my hands, whatever it is, I'll grind it out.
Yep.
So yeah, I will say that has a lot to do with my dad being a coach of literally like every sport. And he was tough on us, but he was the coach, and he had that coach mentality where it was like, if you're not completely injured and you're just a little bit hurt, you play and you go and whatever the coach tells you. And I always remember he was always defending whenever we played for another coach, me and my sister, he was always defending the fact that you listen to whatever they tell you and don't say otherwise. Don't tell them they're wrong. Don't tell them anything. And, you got to grind it out. So that was the mentality. And so that's where I feel like I've brought that into the gym as well. And I don't ever tell you no. That's for sure, because I trust you. You're the man. You're the man, the myth, the legend when it comes to golf fitness. So the Golf Fitness Pro,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. I got
there
you,
you
man.
go.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to talk to you a little bit about moving beyond me, because we can sit there and I can have
Talk all
hours
day.
of conversations about me. Actually, I hate talking about myself. But that being said, lifestyle and mindset. So you've emphasized that fitness is a lot about lifestyle changes and a healthy mindset in the stuff that you have online and within Instagram and so forth. But can you tell me more about that approach around how fitness kind of fits into an overall lifestyle?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think I've evolved in a sense of how I think about this now, where, starting out as a trainer, like that's kind of the buzzword to use, or even buzz terms like, oh yeah, if you're trying to like sell your training, it's like, yeah, we're trying to make this a lifestyle and like a habit, and blah, blah, blah. Versus like at 23, being back then, starting as a trainer, single dude, I didn't have any responsibilities, priorities, kids. Like I was just trying to make it as a trainer and then go back home and watch some sports, right? Or go train for 2 hours myself. Not even understanding, especially the people I was working with then, which was, 30, 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds with kids, and really not understanding like the struggles they go through and the obstacles of, picking up kids, fitting like training into their life, getting to the gym. Are they sleeping? So it's just like, as I kind of transition to the late 20s, you start, thinking about marriage and relationships and your career and making money. So it's just like that fitness is easy to kind of take a back seat because you have other priorities and goals in mind. Or early 20s, like it's easy to fit in. Mid 20s, you start thinking about other aspirations. And now in my late 30s, with a daughter, a home, a wife, family to take care of, provide for, like fitness as a lifestyle is just like, okay, how can I just fit this in, right? It's part of my life. Maybe it's a way to put it now. It's like fitness is part of my life, right? It's still a passion. I still feel good when I do it, but it's like, I don't beat myself up now for myself, knowing that it's like, okay, I'm not gonna get a workout into this. I'm not gonna be depressed all day like I was in my 20s, right? There's just no time for that. So understand that and bringing it into have a little bit more empathy with clients, with golfers, understand like all the stuff, obstacles they're going through with travel, family stress, money, their job. So it's just like having that sort of like understanding and be able to kind of relate to that now. But still, they'll still be the role model and this kind of lead by action type of person. That's why I like to share, like when I get up and when I do work out, like who I'm working, what I'm doing that day, or who I'm working with, late stuff I do. It's just like, I don't want people to think like I'm a robot. Like there's still stuff that I struggle to do. Like the only workout I got today was this assault bikes with Windam, and like that's a win, right? Because now it's like daughter has swim lessons. We're about to eat dinner now as a family, and then we're leaving for tomorrow to Dallas for a work trip. So it's just like, when am I going to fit it in? I don't know. I'll find a way, maybe if I have 30 minutes, but not beat myself up knowing I don't have 2 hours to spare for, fitness when health is important. Yes. And it's part of my life, that I could do other things under my control. Like, okay, what am I going to eat when I travel? Am I going to get enough sleep tonight? So I'm there through the travel with my family as we sit on a 2-hour flight with our kids. So it's just like other things that come into play to kind of keep health and fitness like still important. Right.
Love that, because when somebody comes in, somebody like myself who has very busy weeks when it comes to work a lot of times,
Sure.
and I don't want to be put down as to say, hey, did you get in additional work? Did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah.
And there's personal trainers out there that certainly do that. And you even come across with this as well on the Instagram account, because you had an awesome post recently where you're like, 30 plus years old dad coming into a gym, looking at your Instagram with the fitness influencers. And then you got these fitness influencers doing these crazy workouts and
Yeah.
everything. And you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
So it is awesome to have you having that well-roundedness and understanding what that's like. And I think that's why people flock to you in terms of working with you, that, the guys that are 60 plus that are playing in member guests, because you get it. You understand that, hey, I need to work with you, not just throw this set of workouts at you. And I think that's a big difference. And that's what makes you such an awesome trainer from that perspective. So now nutrition wise, and you just were talking about that. So, how do you, or when working with clients and everything, kind of go about the nutritional side? Because a lot of traders try to like force that on people. I'm curious to hear your take.
Yeah. Nutrition, again, early in my career is kind of more about it because it's like, again, I was taking care of myself, right? I had time to meal prep, grocery shop. Not that I don't have time to do that now, but it's just like there's other things that come into play, right? So I really try to hit home with clients. It's like if they have questions about it, like I try to give recommendations. Like I'm not the type that's like, okay, here's a meal plan. This is what I eat. This will work for you, right? If they have the resources and you know, financial state to be in a situation, it's like I usually tell them like, you pay for a food company, have meals delivered to you. That's why it's easy access. But usually that's where like, oh, it doesn't taste good or like it's boring comes in. So that's where you have to kind of have empathy and kind of try to find ways that they can adhere into, just eating better. And then also not, just try to find your battles, right? Just really, especially with guys that are out here that super successful 6-year-old, play 4 times a week. They don't have to really worry about anything. But then it's just like, they have questions about, how do I get rid of like this? They might, go to their gut where it's like, I know, especially if like they play 4 times a week, and about drinks that they like. So it's just like, how do you have that conversation? Like, hey, how can we cut back like a little bit? This might help, with some of the weight loss problem that you might have and your performance if you kind of cut back some of your vices. And then, when you do go out, like what kind of choices can we make, one time out of the week, right? Kind of get those habits in the right direction. So, it's a pretty general answer, but it's just like a lot of people I work with, it's just like, I try to tell them like, if you have the resources, get a food company. If you're at the point now, it's like, how I do everything that I can to get my true nutrition right. It's just like, okay, now I have to ask more questions. Okay, is your wife bought in? Is your partner bought in? Like, are you going to do the shopping yourself? How are we going to do this? Because as me, just handling the meal plan, like usually just doesn't work. Like there has to be steps involved of like who's involved, what's it going to take. And then are you really serious about this type of commitment to nutrition, which is it's tricky, man. It's really hard.
Love that. And partially because I'm a big proponent of customizing it to the person that you're working with.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that drove me nuts about PGA professionals, because they often teach in a box as to, they get taught a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, they get taught that Ben Hogan is the ideal golf swing. And they teach within a box a lot of times. And that drove me nuts because when I was up at the Butch Harmon Academy up in Las Vegas, when they brought me into there and I started training under, I'm almost positive it was Don or Bob. I can't remember which one. It was so long ago.
Big names there, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, he was older even than Butch, where he worked with Butch's dad. And so that they went way back and he understood all the teachings and everything, but everything was customized to the person rather than trying to fit them into a box. And people talk about Butch all the time in the standpoint that, he is a coach first and foremost, rather than trying to, teach somebody the absolute perfect fundamentals and everything. So That's cool that you're along that same line of working with the individual, working with what they're capable of or what they're willing to do, rather than trying to fit them, because there's personal trainers out there that are really, they just hand you that nutritional plan. They're like, oh yeah, here, I printed this off of the internet. Go ahead and do this and you're going to have a 6-pack. Like I've had that before.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky where everybody I work with does customized solutions based off of who I am. And that's pretty cool that you're right in line with that. And we haven't even really talked about that all that much in the workouts and everything we do. But at the same time, having you on here, it's pretty enlightening to hear that. So let's get into some rapid fire questions to kind of wrap things up. So first of all, favorite exercise for golfers?
Oh man. There's so many. I just go anything unilateral, which is I like the lunge, like a staggered stance, like a lunge position, and then be able to use some sort of like cable device or like band, kind of like what we did today, kind of rotate, punch across the body. This really influences knowing how to use the ground, you have balance in there, core stability, core rotational work, and then also some just even working that chest a little bit too. And then this overall, I think it's a good movement.
Love that. Knew you were going to go rotational there.
Yep.
So next question, most common fitness mistake you see in amateur golfers?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think trying to apply too much of their swing into like their fitness routine, right? And that could be to the point of like, I get a lot of messages lately or recently or in the past, or even people that come in that strictly like want to, or like a full workout program just to like fix their early extension, right? Like this kind of drives me nuts, where it's just like, okay, that's kind of been forced down their throat through certain ways. I mean, TPIs being the swing faults, kind of fitting the program around, their limitations, but it's just like, that just drives me nuts, because it could be 1,000 things that, a workout, like I'm not going to design one workout program around just this one thing, right? So let's kind of a lot of amateurs should get like some sort of screening process, find some good professionals out there that kind of, like you said, kind of fits their body and understand, and working with their coach what they're truly working on, and then have an established plan where it's like, okay, we're still getting fitness elements. Here's some things that are specific towards you. If it's early extension, it might be some hip IR that's the issue. It could be some pelvis stability. It could be mobility. Here's some drills for that. And then here's, how you're going to kind of increase your range of motion with other things as well to kind of complete the whole workout. So it's just amateurs that also this kind of getting on this kind of cherry picking stuff on the internet, or just doing what just the pros do. If like, this is not what, so let's just finding things specific towards them, and then really sticking to that process.
When I was teaching golf, people, when they would come in with a Golf Digest tip and go, "Is this right for me?" My answer would just be, "Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from?" Throw away everything. I had one guy who would come in every single week, and finally I just told him, I was like, "Listen, if we're gonna work together, you can't every single week bring this shit into me. Toss everything. Stop looking at freaking YouTube." And it's funny because Tiger actually came out. There was he was doing that thing with Max Homa, and they asked him. They're like, "What's your best advice?" He goes, "Stop watching YouTube." Stop. Just please, God, stop. And it's so true, because the things that they teach, the general tips and everything, like, they don't work for everybody. And on top of that, a lot of times their body can't handle whatever it is that they're trying to do, which, folks, that's why you work with a golf fitness pro like Ando in order to get into some better positions, so that you can actually make some of those adjustments and movements and so forth. But last rapid fire question, your go-to post-workout meal. And I'm going to copy this.
As we just talked about, I was like, here, eat what I eat. No, man, I think post-workout meal, I mean, that's a tough one, because workouts could be kind of straggled throughout the day. Even to the point I might get a workout in and not eat till a couple hours later. I mean, you could talk about feeding window, all that jazz, like get sciencey, but whatever I could fit in, it could be really what I prepare, for that lunch or leftovers from the night before. Like, I'm at that stage now, right? If it's something I need quick, any type of like protein supplement's going to work for me. Like, I have a protein powder by my desk. Just kind of put it with water, and like, I'll be good for a little bit, especially after,
how many grams of protein are in that protein shake?
There's 25.
25.
Yeah,
have you ever heard, I heard somebody say recently that they had one that they found the magic protein shake that had 67 grams of protein in it. Is that possible?
It's possible. I mean, at my height of working out, like I said, I had a protein powder that was like 50 grams. That was that was 2 scoops, which, I mean, if it's a way to kind of get your protein source in, which usually, again, a lot of the bugaboos are, false information out there, like, really your body can digest quite a bit of protein. So there's no magic number, really, like 60 players. I don't believe that's even true, so don't quote me on that. But the perfect, that's probably a marketing play. Like, there's no perfect number. It's going to be based on, again, your body type. Usually the best way to gauge that is anywhere from like pound per gram, or it's like a 0.8 grams per gram is like, for your body weight is good. If someone's in a weight loss phase, I'm more towards like, hey, whatever whatever weight you're trying to get to, like make that your protein number, right? That makes it pretty easy, and then get people just to focus on that. If you hit your protein number, like usually a lot of people see a lot of success, as long as like other things are in the right place, especially nutritional wise. Like you can't hit your protein number in this. It's like, okay, I'm going Mastros tonight. Like, what should I eat? It's like, well, like we're kind of lost now, so just do whatever.
Ribeye.
Like there's other steps to that on top of hitting that protein number, but there's obviously, if you're hitting the big butt things, like it usually sees a lot of success.
All right. So the answer to that question is the protein shake. Is that it? The post-workout meal?
It'll take protein shake. Yep.
Okay. Protein shake it is.
Time for time. Yep.
Well, Ando, thank you so much, man, for your time and coming on the show and being part of the team. Now, I do want to shout out, obviously, for people to check out Premier Fitness Systems with Ando here, but also, and that's in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you're local here in Arizona, I know we got a lot of Arizona listeners. Definitely check out and reach out to Premier Fitness Systems and reach out to Ando. But Ando, you've got some online programs too for everybody else who, let's say that they can't afford or they're not here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So this is a great opportunity. Talk a little bit about your online program and where somebody can go to see that or become a part of it.
Yeah, man. So you'll see a lot of that on my Instagram, versus I do post a lot of workouts as well. If someone has a question or like, hey, what's a good workout for if they're traveling, like I usually send them like a post. And then program wise, like I am transitioning. So like what I showed you today, that's kind of my next venture. It's like I'm going to be working on like some more like high ticket items for some people that, like you said, can't afford me or can't see me in person. But then I'm going to have some other kind of one-time purchase programs that I used to through PFS. Those programs are still available, and people like want something quick, I can send those over, which can be anything from like a basic limited equipment routine to like a 4-week like off-season routine. Like if people are interested in that, like that's easy to send over. But I am starting like to create some new stuff that I'm excited about. So this probably tell people to look out for that as well.
Yeah, give them your Instagram handle.
Yeah, it's just Ando and _ PFS. Pretty easy to find. Yep.
Love that, because you can see all the latest, obviously, and you also post a ton of workouts on there too. So
yeah,
folks, you really got to check out his Instagram account, because you will gain so much value just by the Instagram account alone. And then the online programs, like we're mentioning with the new app and everything, which I got a taste for today, and it's awesome. I mean, it has everything you need. It's like being in the gym with you, to where you got the videos of all the workouts that you're showing, how to go about them and how to perform them. So it's awesome. I love it. And really, the last thing is, thank you so much, Ando. So hang on for me after we jump off here. Have a quick conversation afterwards. But until next time, everybody, this has been the Pull Hook Golf Podcast with Matt Cook and Andrew Ando Hannon. Thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com